idea what's going on, guys. Today, we'll be going over the 15 work-in-progress balance changes that will be coming very soon to Clash Royale, and my thoughts on them. I do also want to hear your guys' thoughts on them in the comment section down below, what you guys agree with, what you disagree with, and what Supercell may have missed that you want to see, because I can give all of your guys' feedback directly to them. We have an interesting balloon deck here. I'm just going to try to play all the different cards that will be changed in my decks here today. We're going to play some different decks. Normally I would never use Goblin Machine ever, it's so bad right now. It was one of the most broken cards of all time at one point, but it got such a big nerf, or honestly, a lot of big nerfs. Yeah, a lot of big nerfs in a row, so... Now it's quite terrible, especially the Pekka really counters it, and it just gets basically no value. Even the rockets, they don't really do too much, they don't do very much tower damage or anything either. Okay, he does have NATO, unfortunately. Still a very good start here, though. I feel like Demolisher, the one deck it might actually fit in a little bit, is Balloon. So the change they're going to do to the Goblin Demolisher is that they will be buffing the HP by a few %. I really don't think it's going to be enough. It's, I guess, at least something, but yeah, I really don't think that'll make much of a difference at all. They have to probably buff multiple things about it, or at least give it quite a bit more of a substantial HP buff if they want to make that actually help the card very much. Another card that will be getting a buff is the Evolved Goblin Cage. It was kind of funny because I remember when Goblin Cage first came out, I was saying how, oh, I think Goblin Cage will be pretty mid, not very good, and then everyone was saying, oh, Ian, you always predict the evolutions wrong, you always predict the strengths wrong, but turns out I was actually kind of right, because now nobody uses Cage, basically at all. The one deck that Cage does work well in is E-Giant, but E-Giant is pretty much dead now in this Pekka meta. So what they're going to do is that they're going to make the Evolved Goblin Cage deal a few % more damage to units when they're pulled into it. I honestly don't really think that's the right way to go about it. I think what Evolved Goblin Cage needs is a bit of a bigger hand reach, I guess you could say, with the Evo Cage arm. I think that radius of that arm should be, or that reach of that arm should be a little bit bigger. I think that would definitely help out the card quite a bit. Anyways, we're doing pretty good here so far. Surprisingly, Goblin Machine is actually not that bad in this type of matchup, but once you face Pekka, you're just going to be crying. You're just going to be crying once you face Pekka for sure. We do have our Evo Bomber now, which could be pretty good too. You know, going into our first nerf, we have the Bomber, not the Evo Bomber, but the Bomber itself. The Bomber itself will be getting a couple % damage nerf because they buffed it a while back to make it one-shot spirits, and that really made it very, very strong and just very hard to stop, I feel like. And now they're going to only partially revert the buff, so it's no longer going to one-shot spirits. I mean, the only spirit it doesn't currently one-shot is Heal Spirit for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, they're going to partially revert that buff, which I think is a great change, and it should still be a quite solid card. Beautiful Evolution Bomber. Very nice first win here. Alright, next up we have Pekka Bridge Spam. This deck will be getting quite a few changes, as I'm sure most of you could have guessed. So to start it off with, we have the Evo Pekka, which will be getting a bit of a nerf to its healing. It will heal 12% less now after every kill it gets. I think that change should be pretty good for it. I don't know if it'll be quite enough, but at least it should make it a little bit more manageable to defend it. Storm cards will be just a tiny bit better against it, although, of course, still not ideal to play against an Evo Pekka. But I feel like, personally, they might want to do something a little bit more intricate with the Evo Pekka to balance it out. We'll have to see how this change plays out. I don't think it's a bad change, but necessarily, but maybe they could do a little bit more with it. Another card we have in this deck is the Evolved Wizard. Evo Wizard has been really strong for a really long time. Pretty much ever since it came out, it was automatically very broken. I remember when the shield used to not die to arrows. That was insane. So what they're going to do with the Wizard is that they're going to make the Evo Wizard, they're going to make the shield knockback 25% less. I don't really think that'll be enough, to be honest, but it'll definitely do something. Also, wow, our Wizard is getting so much value right now. Even the normal Wizard isn't that terrible ever since the buff it got. But yeah, Evo Wizard, I don't know, I feel like maybe it could be a good idea to make the shield 1 HP. That's what a lot of people were saying. I feel like Poison Log should kill Evo Wizard. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out, though. At least it's gonna hopefully do a little something. Another card we also have that I didn't really expect to see on the balance change list is the Goblin Curse. I believe it will be getting a 20% damage buff, which does sound like a lot. You know, if the Rocket got a 20% damage buff, that would be crazy, but the Curse does almost no damage anyways, so with that buff, it really won't change all that much. Also, wow. Wow, that was that was the first good Goblin Curse I had in a very long time. Wow, okay, Curse actually doing something, that's kind of unheard of. But yeah, it'll be getting a small damage buff, which might help out, you know, to kill bats, skeletons, and stuff like that pretty quickly without always needing to combo it with a zap or something like that. So I think the Curse buff is okay. I don't think it'll be nearly enough to make it good though, but hey, it's gonna at least do something. I'd rather have little buffs than to have them just suddenly make it all broken, so I guess I'm okay with it, even though I don't think it'll make it meta. I don't really want a curse to be meta. I mean, I don't really want a curse meta like we had before. This balloon here is already almost dead here. Evo Pekka will just distract the Valkyrie, so I think we pretty much won at this point. Yeah, honestly, curse actually isn't as terrible as people think when you combo it with other spells like a zap, but even then it really is just so matchup based. You can get so much value if they have bait cards, but if they don't, you just get 0 value the entire game. Anyways, I think this guy's dead at this point. I'll see you guys in the next match. We're up against Silly, one of the silliest guys I ever met. Okay, we have Log last card, basically. Okay, not the best start here, but it should be fine. So guys, we're playing Goblin Drill right now. Goblin Drill is going to be getting quite a few changes, well, just to this deck in general. There will be quite a few changes. The Goblin Drill itself won't be getting a change, but the Evo Goblin Drill will be getting a bit of a rework. So basically, they're going to bring back the Death Spawn Goblin from the second phase of the Evolution Drill, kind of like how it was at the start before they gave it the original nerf. So yeah, now each time when the drill submerges again, it will be spawning a Goblin there instead of missing a Death Spawn Goblin from one of the waves like it currently is. Along with that, they'll be making it so the second and third form of the Evo Goblin Drill will no longer do damage, and also they won't do any knockback, which I think is a good change, for sure. And then also they're going to make it so the submerged spawn goblins will now have some sort of deploy time. Not exactly sure how that's going to be. We're just going to have to kind of see that in action, I feel like, to judge whether it's going to be a good change or not. But overall, I feel like they're really not nerfing the Evo Drill at all. It seems almost like a buff to me. I don't know, unless the deploy... No, unless, like, the submerged goblins deploy timer is going to be a big change. They actually might have just buffed Evo Drill. So, I don't know. I don't really think this change is going to be exactly the right one, but I guess only time will tell. I feel like it's still going to take so much elixir to counter an Evo Drill. Unless you have the perfect counter like a bowler or something. Okay, man, these Evo Skellies are going kind of crazy right now. Come on, Demolisher. Man, my Demolisher. Okay. Actually, Demolisher will be getting a nerf too. Whenever Demolisher goes into the second phase now, or after the change goes live, if it does go live, it'll have its HP deplete 30% quicker. So you guys know when the Demolisher goes out of the first stage, it starts running towards the tower and it starts losing its HP little by little, right? So when that happens, the Demolisher's HP will start to dwindle just a little bit quicker than before, which I think is a pretty nice change, actually. I don't really know if Demolisher deserved a nerf. It's really only used in Drill, and I don't know, Drill is definitely popular, but I feel like Pekka's kind of overtaking it right now, as of recently. Yeah, I don't really know if the Demolisher nerf is the best, but I'm okay with it, I guess. It's not really the biggest nerf either. And there are a couple more changes. Actually, both of them will be happening to the same card. So for the Evolved Tesla, they will be taking away the Death Shockwave, which I think is great. Oh, Riley missed the log. Nice, look at that damage. Yes, they're going to take away the Death Shockwave of the Evo Tesla, which I think is a great change. I really don't know why they gave the Tesla a Death Shockwave in the first place in the balance changes where they nerfed basically every single other Evo in the game. Really didn't make any sense at all, but in return for this nerf, they're going to be buffing the normal Tesla. They're going to make its hit speed 0.1 seconds quicker, which I really don't agree with. I feel like Evo Tesla needed a nerf, but the normal Tesla is still a pretty decent building, so yeah, not really a big fan of the Tesla buff. Although it should be good for me because all my decks use Tesla, at least most of them do, so I don't mind it too much. I don't think Tesla will be broken or anything like that because, I mean, Beatdown's kind of what's running the meta right now anyway, so I guess Tesla being buffed will at least give some Cycle players a better chance to still do well in the meta. Oh, this guy just completely missed the log. This guy is in Riley, which is not too surprising. Man, okay, Riley's kind of missing his logs a lot right now, which is great for us to see here. We're looking really good so far. Yeah, I mean, Drill is just so broken right now. When you play Evo Drill, you really don't even have to worry about getting any normal Drill damage. You just want to get that Evo Drill damage. You just want to cycle your Drills to get to the Evo Drill. Also, man, that was a beautiful Demolisher. Yeah, I mean, Riley can't really rocket Cyclist at this point. He's just going to have to somehow try to do something crazy, but I feel like we should be fine. It's really nice for us right now that he has no Evo Goblin Barrel. I think if he has Evo Goblin Barrel, this matchup can be quite a bit more difficult. He's actually kind of coming back right now, so we have to watch out a little bit. Kind of a terrible princess, I feel like. Okay. Yeah, just gonna get our Evo Drill off here. I think Evo Drill is basically going to be guaranteed to get a lot of damage, especially with the fact that it has 3 spawn damages every single time. Honestly, even the spawn damages of all the drills from the Evo drill, or like all the submerges from the Evo drill, actually does add up quite a bit. Yeah, I think this should take it. Yeah, that's going to take it. Barrel won't do enough damage here, so yeah, very nice win against Riley. We're up against a Galaxy, probably the milkiest way in all of history. Guys, this deck here will be getting quite a few interesting changes. To start it off with, we have the Cannoneer Tower, which will be getting a first hit speed nerf by 33%, so basically it will no longer fully counter wall breakers when left alone. I think the change should be pretty good because it's still going to allow the Cannoneer to do quite high DPS over time, but just won't get that first hit off quite as quickly, which I think is a pretty solid change because right now Cannoneer is pretty broken. Yeah, not too much to say about that one. We're going to have to see how it affects Cannoneer, but I think it should definitely be a good change, and Cannoneer should hopefully still be pretty solid while not being too overpowered. Another card we have that's very interesting and very controversial, at least to me, is that the Goblin... Well, not Goblin, okay, Suspicious Bush. I always say Goblin Bush instead of Suspicious Bush. But yeah, the Suspicious Bush will be getting a movement speed buff by 25%, so... yeah, it'll just run to the towers way quicker, which I think actually might be a nerf. They're saying it's going to be a buff, but I really don't think I like the change too much, because a lot of the time you play the bush all the way in the back, and you just punish them with it way later, because it takes so long to go from the back of the map all the way to the front. So I feel like actually the slow movement speed can sometimes be a great asset of the card, but they're going to buff the movement speed, which can definitely be good to punish, but can also be bad to have that card just build up a nice push for you all the way from the back. So not really too sure about the change. Maybe it will be overall a slight buff, but not the biggest fan ever of it. And another change we do have is very simple. It's the Evolved Zap. Instead of having 3 waves like it currently has, they're going to make it only have 2 waves, and they'll make it have 2 full damage normal zaps. Because right now it's 3 zaps, with the first one being normal, but then the next 2 being weak zaps. I think the change is going to be great, because basically it'll make the Evo Zap exactly the same, except it'll be, yeah, just 2 waves instead of 3, so it's just going to have less stun overall. Instead of having 1.5 seconds of total stun, it'll have only 1 second of total stun. And also you're going to have to be a bit more precise on the timings, I guess, as well. So yeah, definitely like the change to Evo Zap. And I can actually tell that the Supercell team is listening to us, because quite a few creators suggested the Evo Zap change, so yeah, pretty nice to see that. Supercell definitely has been listening to feedback quite a bit more recently, I feel like, with the balance changes. I'm actually kind of surprised that Evolved Mega Knight is not getting any sort of change. Maybe because it's not really being used a crazy amount right now, but the main reason why is because Pekka is everywhere, but with the Pekka nerf, I don't know. Maybe Evo Mega Knight could potentially need a nerf as well sometime soon. And the final card for the balance changes is going to be the Skeleton Barrel. They're going to increase the death damage of it by 9%. I think that's a great buff. Really not going to be too much, but just going to slightly help out the card. I think it'll still be a bad card, honestly, but might as well make it a little bit more viable for the players who actually use it, which are very few, but yeah, still think that'll be a nice change. Just going to make it a little bit better to cycle throughout the game, and even if your opponent has like a bar barrel or something to counter it, you still get some nice tower chip damage each time. So yeah, overall, pretty good balance changes. They're probably missing a couple things. I'm not exactly sure what I would say they're missing. Feels like maybe there's a couple small things. You guys can let me know in the comment section down below what you think they're missing. I feel like they're not missing too much. They got most of the important things. There's probably a few random things that I'm not really thinking about right now that could also use a nerf, but relatively happy with these balance changes, honestly. I think we might just win right here. Skellybrow's also going to get some nice chip damage on the tower. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, we just need a zap at this point. Man, these decks are actually so much fun. I can't wait to see how the balance changes will affect these decks. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!